There's often a connection between why we have boundaries the way we have them and are our needs met? Because sometimes we satisfy somebody else's needs because it actually meets our needs to meet their needs. But it doesn't necessarily meet our needs. And we allow boundaries to break for that reason. A discussion about boundaries could take on a form of, this is what I want you to engage with, or this is how I want you to engage me. There could be so many different approaches to discussing boundaries, but the ones that I've found most common in the homeschool home often have to do with finding boundaries for your quiet time or your mental space. Sometimes it's, should I feel responsible to answer the cashier in the grocery store lineup about why my kids aren't in school? Or do I have to have discussions around Thanksgiving table about why I've chosen to homeschool again? Sometimes it's trying to corral certain family members from quizzing your children about math facts or things that they think that your child should know. Sometimes it takes the form of you deciding whether you're going to answer the phone in the middle of a homeschool day. What about how people speak to you, or how you speak to them, but how you allow other people to speak to you? A boundary issue that's common probably to everybody in some form, because sometimes even though our boundaries are broken and we don't like how someone's spoken to us, we return it with something that is equivalently unkind or not respectful. In essence, I said yesterday that I think we choose to respect ourselves first, and then we expect others to respect us in the same way. And of course, that assumes that we're engaging them in the same respectful manner as well. Boundary relationship or issues can manifest in our relationships and sap our energy, take away from all the joy and satisfaction that we can have in the freedoms of our homeschool days and in our lives, the basic experiences of our kids. Sometimes those boundary issues have to do with our significant other. Sometimes they have to do with extended family or relatives or good friends. Definitely they can happen even with our children. But the one that we are always most challenged by, that we almost never think about, are ourselves. Are we taking care of ourselves? Because ultimately we are responsible to take care of ourselves. Sometimes boundaries need to be placed on how we think. We instinctively feel our feelings, and they are all good feelings. But the thoughts behind our feelings are our choices, and sometimes the thoughts behind our feelings are not helpful, and they are as unhelpful and unkind and disrespectful as a random person making an unkind comment about our choice to homeschool. On days when you've had really difficult days, and you know that you haven't acted or engaged or respected your children in the way that you want to. And you're right, you probably shouldn't have engaged that way. Shaming yourself or telling yourself you're just a really bad mom, I get it. I've been there. We've all been there. But that voice, allowing ourselves to speak to ourselves that way, doesn't benefit us or our kids. We don't learn from what it is that we need to learn from in that scenario. We don't try to get practical and get real and say, why did I engage that way? Or what are the thoughts behind my feelings? Or what is the scenario that I actually really should be engaging in a different way? So even we can be boundary breakers against ourselves. We want to build boundaries to help maintain our own sense of energy, to satisfy our needs and our hopes or our goals in our life, to sometimes maintain a sense of internal peace, sometimes peace in relationships. Sometimes we need quiet or we need separate mental space. Sometimes we need boundaries around our cleanliness and our organization. Not perfect, not perfection, that's not happening, but cleanliness and organization. And when our goals and our needs are met, we have energy and mental space to provide the things that other people need from us as well. And again, I say a beautiful quote from Brené Brown that the most boundaried persons are the most compassionate persons. I have a series of journaling questions in a journal notebook that I've put together for my Homeschool Mama retreat. 15 questions that help assess where your boundaries are in your homeschool. And I'm going to discuss those questions, do an assessment on boundaries and the challenges we have around them, and finding practical tools, strategies to approach them in our homeschools on Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can find the link in my bio. And at the very end of this boundary question assessment page, we're going to go through a few of the questions in real time and have a discussion about those different boundary breaking episodes or moments. But as related to our children, just a reminder that we teach our kids boundaries on repeat. And they don't get any magic boundary pills. They get to engage the discussion of how to engage people respectfully or to address all these different things that could affect boundaries in real time over the course of their lifetime. And they don't get no magic boundary pills. So we have to be realistic with our expectations of them. We make our choices and we own our voices and we deal with our needs because we are the number one person to engage our own needs. So as something to remember as you go about your day, remember that all of these things are things that we have to learn in real time too. And sometimes some days feel like we're not learning anything. We're not getting the things that we need to learn so we can really show up in our homeschools on purpose. But remember, as Van Gogh has reminded us, that great things are done by a series of small things brought together. I wish for you a charmed homeschool day, but if you're having one of those challenging days, then I hope you can reframe it and turn it into a charmed day. We'll talk to you soon.